You're listening to Our Two Satoshis podcast with hosts Justin and Billy from CryptoFizz.com.
Happy Friday, guys. Justin, a lot's going on today. A lot in the news. Market's red. What the hell's going on?
It depends on what you're investing in, but yeah, the majority of the market is red right now.
That's right.
There was something this morning they were talking about the reason behind that. You actually brought it up. It was something about Japan exchanges.
Yeah, so regulators in Japan basically decided to enforce some AML, KYC regulation on the exchanges. So basically, they want to know who's buying and selling on these exchanges. So stuff that we're already used to using exchanges like Bittrex and Coinbase. Know your customer regulation. So nothing crazy. It's just short-term jitters.
Yeah, I mean that really is having that much of a negative impact on the market.
Yeah, weak hands, man. It's like I'm not surprised by it at all. Of course, that's going to happen. Like, there's going to be more of that in places that don't currently have it. That's just how it's going to go, and it's totally fine.
On that kind of topic there, with this happening with those exchanges, this is kind of a, I don't know, open-ended question in a way, but, have you, or a probing question rather, have you seen, do you see in your day-to-day life more instances of cryptocurrency being mentioned, being shown in places? I'm saying this because I see it popping up everywhere. I've been watching, the World Cup, and right as we started the podcast, I saw a commercial for Coinsquare.com, the Canadian Coinbase.
It's funny. Like I don't spend a lot of time watching TV, so I really don't outside of my Twitter feed. So on Twitter, there's something every 3 seconds. More regulation, more people entering the market, institutional interest. But from like a consumer, like TV standpoint, I haven't really noticed much just because I don't watch it.
Dude, I feel like every commercial break, there's a commercial popping up. There's actually one, right now popped up with IBM, and they just mentioned blockchain in it.
Nice.
So it's...
What's funny, I was actually going to mention that's like the only one that I have noticed is the IBM one.
Yeah. I've seen it on the IBM commercial. Like I said, I've seen Coinsquare, which is a Canadian-based company. There's numerous ones that just keep popping up. It's crazy. I'm seeing it in day-to-day life, and it's almost like if you go out and you buy a red car. You don't see a lot of red cars on the road, but if you buy a red car, now you see red cars all over the place. Exactly. I think maybe that's what it is that we're just so,
I think it's probably a combination of the two. I mean that thing, like where it's like in your brain, you're going to start focusing on that thing. But I think it's also true that it is popping up more places too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw a chart the other day. It was showing the rate of adoption for technology in the U.S. and how it's this just gradual increase for a little bit, and then it just skyrockets. And It was like all these different technologies, smartphones, telephones in general, home computers, etc. And it showed crypto, and it was like one little line that was like barely even like a millimeter or two long, and it's like, you are currently here.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen that before. It's like the hockey stick.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. we've barely started.
Yeah, totally. And yet I just saw an article before we came on here talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency will never become mainstream. It's like so many haters out there. Yeah. This wasn't even part of what we were going to discuss in the podcast today, but talking about like the BIS coming out, stating that all the issues with cryptocurrency. It's like, of course they're going to state that. It affects their business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when that car first came out, people that owned horses were like, it's never going to work.
It worked.
Here we are.
Well, actually, elaborate on that a little bit, because you opened my eyes to this before. I didn't even know about the Michelin ratings and how that worked.
Well, so yes, I mean, Michelin, to get more business, they actually created this rating for restaurants. And so what they would do is they would give these restaurants, it's essentially like the first Yelp, like 5-star, except it only goes up to 3. I'm pretty sure it's 3. So they would basically go across the country, across the world rather, and rank these really like fine dining restaurants with their Michelin star rating. And so I didn't actually know this, but that's the Michelin Tire Company. And so they use that as a way to get people to basically to use up their tires, wear down the tires more because of these new cars that were out. And so because their tires were getting worn down from traveling, they had to buy more product. So when you hear Michelin star rating, it's the actual tire company. Like who would have thought it? Like brilliant. Like amazing. Same with Guinness. Like Guinness Book of World Records, that's the beer company.
I think actually you had told me that before. Because it gives some people to do while they're drinking or whatever.
Yeah, because I guess people at Guinness started noticing that when people were drinking, they were talking about those kind of little factoids. They're like, well, shit.
Well, let's do this.
Let's make use of this.
Well, even taking that back a step further a little bit about the whole, restaurant thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you were explaining this to me one time, since you were previously in the restaurant business, that before cars, really, there wasn't really restaurants out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that was, I was listening to a podcast. I'm trying to keep this within the crypto realm work here.
Yeah.
But, so I was listening to a podcast, and Mark Andreessen, bringing it full circle here with crypto, he was the former founder of Netscape, and then was like one of the first investors of Coinbase. And he was talking about...
He's in Andreessen Horowitz, right? I mean, he's part of...
Exactly.
They bought earn.com, where you can earn Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy is very bullish on crypto and drones and all that kind of stuff. But I forget what the topic was, but basically people were complaining about new technology taking away jobs in the market they were taking over, like replacing. So people didn't like that essentially cars would be replacing
blacksmiths and
the horse industry.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that's kind of bullshit because it created this entire new industry that never existed before, which is the restaurant industry. Because previously, without a car, all you had was your horse and buggy or your horse, or you walked. And there was really no market. You didn't have enough traffic to have this, profitable restaurant. So you would have a tavern here and there, but it was really sparse. Like you didn't have anything like what you see today. And it's obviously a huge industry, like created because of something totally different.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I wanted to bring this full circle there with the cryptocurrency, talking about the restaurant and stuff. Because we both just finished 0 to 1 with Peter Thiel, and they talk about in there how technology is going to replace humans. It's going to replace humans in this segment. It's going to replace humans in that segment and stuff. Mm-hmm. Technology can never do what we as humans do analytically.
Right.
It can't, technology needs to be used to supplement and help what we are doing, what the goals that we are trying to accomplish. He uses the example there of talking about PayPal, where they had massive fraud. That was the biggest problem with PayPal initially, was that there was fraud in terms of credit card transactions. So they basically wrote a script that would go through, look for these fraudulent transactions, and then would cancel them. Well, the problem with that is that hackers immediately could figure out pretty quickly how the script was going to work and how to bypass that. So they changed the model there to where they were flagged, and an analyst actually went through it. We actually may have talked about this a little bit on our last podcast, but just bringing that full circle there is that all cryptocurrencies coming out, it's not going to solve all these issues. It may do away with some type of jobs in certain market segments, but it's going to open up jobs in other areas that we don't even know about right now.
Exactly. Like you can't predict Uber in 1995. It's like there's going to be new industries that are created that we can't even fathom. That's the really exciting part.
Speaking of Uber, there isn't that one of the coins is going to be launched on Syscoin network.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like an Uber, like a decentralized Uber on the Syscoin platform.
BitCab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe we actually wrote an article when they first kind of announced that they're going to be working on the platform a couple of months ago.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and link that below in the podcast.
Nice little primer.
So what else? What else you got going on this week? What's some news that you wanted to talk about on today's podcast?
So something I didn't really know too much about, even though I had seen headlines over the past couple months about it, was Tether, and how many people speculated that Tether was essentially propping up the Bitcoin price, like they were just essentially printing money, more or less, printing tokens. And that was basically faking the demand for Bitcoin and pushing the Bitcoin price up. And that's what gave us that massive bull run, 6 months ago. And so for those who don't know much about Tether, and I didn't until a couple of days ago, it's a stable coin, which means it's backed 1-to-1 by whatever the native currency is. And right now I think it's only available with the US dollar, I think the pound, and then maybe the yen. But to keep it simple, if you have a Tether token, basically it's backed by $1 US in their account. So it's just 1-to-1, it's a balanced holding there. So
how does the price of Tether rise then?
Yeah, I don't know, man, because like it's stable, so it's like within pennies that the value changes. So it does change, but if you look at the chart, it's just like a horizontal line.
What is their goal of it? Is there a goal for it to be the payment currency, or is there something else behind Tether?
So it's basically a way to kind of transition from fiat into a cryptocurrency. But basically, it's a smaller hurdle. You can jump between exchanges a lot easier. You aren't constantly exchanging rates. As soon as you buy that one Tether, that acts as like that base. Because let's say if you didn't have Tether and you were trying to trade, let's say, Ethereum using a Bitcoin pair, you would have to be worrying about the price fluctuation of Bitcoin as your base. But if you had Tether as the base, you would know that that's not going to change. It's always going to be $1.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can become one of the best trading pairs essentially.
Oh yeah, because it's like the stock market. Your base, your trading pair is your dollar with whatever that stock is. So you aren't trying to balance both sides of the equation, But yeah, to get back to the news, so there was a highly respected law firm that just went through and confirmed that what they claim on their website as their holdings was actually in those banks. So that the numbers matched up. So they weren't potentially just quote unquote printing money. Now the tough part is, one, it's a law firm, which is not the same thing as an audit. It's two different processes, and basically right now, like pretty much any audit firm that they've approached won't touch the situation. It's just out of their realm of comfort. It's not the same processes in crypto as it is regular financial markets, which no surprise there. But so they hired this really expensive and respected law firm to go in and basically verify in a formal way that, yeah, they do in fact have $3.3 billion in the bank. So it's so people are like, yeah, I see what you did there. I still don't trust you. So, that was a big concern for a while, that the Bitcoin price was just, pumped up based on fake money.
Well, I mean, all the scammers and frauds and fraudulent ICOs and exit scams and everything that we see in the crypto world. I mean, I haven't invested in Tether before, but it's nice to see that there are legitimate companies out there trying to do it the right way.
Yeah.
That's what's going to take this mainstream, is companies actually doing it the right way.
Exactly. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, it's a step forward, if you want to call it that. Who knows? I mean, it also sounds very familiar to the traditional financial markets. Stock market being propped up by buybacks by companies, It's not actual consumer demand. So tomatoes. So that was a big one.
Our favorite token this week Jen launched Dash masternodes. That was pretty big. I mean,
Tier one.
that's gotta, it's funny though. They haven't currently. You have to own the full masternode that you run on their platform, but they're going to be launching shared masternodes in the future. This has to allude to shared masternodes. Their dashboard coming out last week. Dash being added to the platform. For one Dash masternode, it's like $250,000.
Yeah,
like a lot
that's
of people
crazy.
can't afford that. But for the shared possibility, I actually looked on their Twitter, their tweet about the Dash thing, and all the comments were, okay, when you open up shared masternodes, when are shared masternodes coming? Because people know that size of masternode going on the platform, it's alluding to the shared ability.
Exactly. I mean, these things take off pretty quickly, especially if it's a good project, these masternodes. So I think it's going to be a huge deal that, one, they're going to be the first ones to offer a trustless shared masternode platform. Side note, just now, they just updated their dashboard or their homepage. So it displays the masternodes available, and it gives you metrics in a more formatted way. It gives you like their social links and everything else, so it's cleaned up a lot from what it currently and previously was. I don't know if you remember, but like basically the way it was designed before just now, it was very kind of, the CSS needed some help. If you were on mobile, the cards were too squished. It didn't look like the quality of project that they actually are.
It's so funny that they just updated this dashboard, because I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was going through and looking at all the tokens that they had and going to masternodes online, checking the prices of them, what the return was, etc. And I was like, God, this is a pain in the ass. Like, we should be able to do this, directly on their platform in some way. So that's crazy though.
Yeah, no, it's like, so they had a tweet today, they had massive news coming out, and this is not it. And I'm just sitting here just staring at the
Are you sure that this isn't it?
Yeah, because the actual person said that wasn't it, like their marketing guy.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. You've been in communication with them. Are we going to be doing something with Jen here in the near future?
Yeah, so I actually reached out to one of the founders, and I basically said, hey, is there any way that we can help? Can we add value to you guys? Can we spread the message of what you're trying to do? Is there anything that isn't covered like it needs to be? Are people misinformed about anything? So we're actually going to be co-authoring an article with them, which I should have out by Monday. It's going to be a very thorough article about the history of money, how we got to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, but then also the shortcomings and current hurdles that Bitcoin has. So it should add some value for a lot of people. And it was really refreshing to talk to their marketing guy, because basically they want to educate their investors. And their kind of whole message is, we're a investment. Crypto is a new investment class, but it shouldn't be the only investment class that you jump into. You need to have a balanced portfolio. Yeah. It was like, man, these guys are really doing it right across the board. Like, they're constantly updating the platform, listening to feedback. It's a stellar project.
I've said this numerous times. I wish we had the money to buy Jen. I got jumped out of that company. But we talk about Jen enough, so let's jump on to some new things. You came across a really cool website. You were showing it to me. I was checking it out, coincheckup.com. I don't know if any of our listeners have been there before, but it's pretty awesome. If you go to coincheckup.com, it's got every single metric you would want for a coin, including their social media presence. I don't know, take it away, Billy. What's some of the cool things you saw on there that caught your eye?
You know what's funny is I actually came across this tool while on the Gin Discord, so I apologize for going back to Gin again. But it's the last time. Somebody posted that, hey, they were actually looking at Gin on this Coin Checkup website, and I had never heard of it. So I went ahead and clicked on it, and essentially It has every possible metric you could think of. So for me, one thing I really liked was the arbitrage opportunities. So for those that have no idea what that even means, it's essentially where you buy, say, uh, Bitcoin on one platform, one exchange, and sell it for another because of a price difference. There's like, that gap there. Um,
But is it solely exchange to exchange, or would it be also you buy it, at the Bitcoin pairing and sell it at the Ethereum pairing or whatever, and make money
right.
as
So
well?
there's different ways of doing it. It's not just like there's multiple ways to use arbitrage. Um, and so, for example, I'm looking at the page right now. It gives you like the trading pair, what exchange you should buy it on, what exchange to sell it on, the bid price, the ask price, what the spread is, the volume, and then it shows you the profit you would gain from that transaction. So it's pretty badass. If you go on markets, the markets tab gives you the categories. So you can go in and see, I want to look at all the privacy tokens. I want to see all the gaming tokens. And then you can rank them, by supply or the score that this website has given them based on GitHub activity, social media activity, all these various things. So there's a lot of information that's organized in a really clear way. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, it's a cool site to use. I typically use the charts on the exchanges that I'm on, or CoinMarketCap. But CoinMarketCap really doesn't have the greatest charts. Um, but using something like this would definitely be valuable. Um, okay, so some of the big dogs came out this week, and I already mentioned the BIS coming out and saying BS about cryptocurrency. But the Federal Reserve this week added, so they have a platform, a database that tracks price indexes for stocks, bonds, etc. And they just recently added cryptocurrency price indexes to it. So it'll have like Bitcoin, Ethereum, what else? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. Man, Bitcoin Cash, like that thing just doesn't go away. Like I don't like there's like that's like
I've seen it.
legitimate crypto now. Like it's one of the top ones. It's crazy. Like I've never owned it. I think you own some because you got some based on the holding Bitcoin at the time or something on
Yeah,
Coinbase, correct?
so I mean, I have a whole one now. I went ahead and went through and bought one of each on Coinbase just to cover my bases. But yeah, in the past few months, I've gotten, um, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Cash, all these various forks that I happen to capitalize on because I had Bitcoin in my wallet at the time,
Hmm.
and promptly sold them though too. Um, yeah,
I'm not a long-term holder on those.
no.
But along the same lines of the Federal Reserve there, did you hear that U.S. House members now have to disclose any cryptocurrency that they're holding?
Yeah, I saw something about that. Wasn't it like if it's above $1,000 worth, they have to
Yeah.
claim what they have.
Yep. Um, Says they should reveal investments in digital currency and report on any crypto sale or purchase beyond 1,000 within 45 days of the deal.
Gotcha.
This is actually, I was talking to my brother about this because he has a security clearance with the government, and he was saying, yeah, they really haven't figured out yet, what we have to do with this. And I think this is, a signal heading in that direction of if you have a security clearance, you're going to have to start disclosing these types of funds. I guess they
Hmm.
see it as foreign investments in a way. I don't know. Probably lump it in that same
Yeah,
category.
yeah. I mean, it certainly makes sense to me. It'd be a way to um, launder money or do something shady because there is some, privacy there. So I get it.
So, actually, circling back on that, so I was way wrong last week on our podcast when I said that we would be interviewing Jez from Funfair this week.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I didn't realize that it was July 23rd, or I did realize, but I just wasn't paying attention to the date, so that's not for another month. But one thing that I want to bring up to Jez, because they're definitely in the gambling realm when it comes to crypto, and that's what Funfair is going to be. Now, granted, it's going to be for casinos rather, and not necessarily sports betting. But with the whole World Cup coming up, I noticed a website that I used to place a few bets on here and there online with fiat is now offering where you deposit Bitcoin, and they actually give you a bonus when you deposit Bitcoin. They pay you out in Bitcoin. So, along those lines, you see a lot of these cryptos popping up that are in the gambling segment. I understand that, maybe some things with the blockchain can be done so that it's provably fair and transparent and everything, but it leads me to believe, will that be enough to pull people to those platforms as opposed to the current platforms that are up there if you can just use cryptocurrency on them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Will that be enough of a differentiating factor that the blockchain, and the provably fair, can pull them away from the current sites?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair argument. And I would have to do a little bit more research. I imagine it's a little bit of both. Like one part of it is for the consumer to hear that it's a lot more fair. And then the other side of it is maybe the casino is going to have a bigger profit margin because of a leaner back end or more efficient back end.
Yeah. Well, I know the casinos deal 30% of their fees right now online, or their losses come from fraudulent credit card transactions. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is something, I was actually talking to a previous business partner about crypto because I was, talking to him way back in the day in 2014 about it. And so we've kind of kept in touch over the years about it. And my main argument about why it's not going away is because it makes things or processes cheaper and faster and more secure. At the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. So who's not going to take advantage of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially from a business standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of people. I know a lot of my friends use like Venmo to send money, to each other. But that's the thing about crypto. You can do that at that speed, but it's also the anonymity. You don't have it linked directly to your bank account, things like that. So I don't know. Anyway, so we're going to start a new thing that we do at the end of our podcast weekly, where both Billy and I pick out a winner of the week and a loser of the week. So I'll spin it over to you first, Billy. Who would be? Let's start it out. We'll end the podcast on a high note. So, who is your loser of the week in the crypto world?
I would probably say the Japanese exchanges. I'm just kind of disappointed by the lack of faith long term. I know this is the way it goes, and people tend to have weak hands, retail investors. But it's like, how could you not see this coming?
Mm-hmm.
Regulation is a tidal wave, and it's necessary for more, institutional investment. So in the long run, it's a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a bad thing per se.
Yeah, because we already had this conversation, 6 months ago about the U.S. market and how people were really turned off by regulation, and we kind of made the argument that in the long run, this is a good thing. It's going to bring in even more money. Even bigger bull markets. So I still hold fast with that opinion.
Well, I saw an article the other day that said that that selling cryptocurrency now is like selling Apple stock in 2001.
Yeah.
Like, just don't do it.
Yeah, idiot.
So your loser of the week is Japanese exchanges. My loser of the week is also going to be an exchange, and that would be Bithumb, who was hacked for $30 million. Now, they did say that they reimburse all of their customers. So they must be making some pretty damn good money, and we need to start our own exchange if that's the case. But that's my loser of the week. So how about your winner, Billy?
So the real estate market is kind of on my radar right now because of the Hiltons. So Paris Hilton's dad is selling one of their properties on a platform called Propy, PROPY.com. Basically, it's this platform that allows you to facilitate real estate transactions globally because each country has their own regulations, their own processes. And so this basically helps you facilitate those cross-border transactions.
How much are they selling the place for?
It was like 30 million or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought it was closer to 40. Yeah, like 38 million or something like that.
It's in the tens of millions. What you would expect from a Hilton.
So the Hiltons are getting into it now.
And Paris was actually she was repping one of the ICOs a little while back, and they turned out to be a flop and got, I don't think they've been prosecuted yet, but she kind of cut those ties, which is good. For me, I'm just wondering if it's like genuine interest in the technology and the market, or if they're doing this as a PR thing. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Keep Hilton in the cool space.
That was actually one thing that I didn't mention was today was Akon. Akon was just granted 2,000 acres in Senegal by the president there to build a crypto city. It'll be called Acoin. So apparently he's been doing a lot of things in Africa when it comes to like solar and providing power to people. So hey, kudos to him.
Yeah.
So my winner of the week is going to be Square. So Square was given the green light to trade Bitcoin in New York. So their stock jumped pretty crazy after that. And that's, hey, more the merrier.
The big
easier
move.
Access to the market for people in the crypto world.
Exactly. Stepping forward every single day.
So that's our winners, that's our losers, that's what we got this week, and we are awaiting some big news coming out from a couple different tokens. One of them mainly being Jin, which should be coming out here shortly. But anyways, check out our podcast next week, and we will link some of our articles below. Have a good one, guys.
Later, guys.